It's not a tumor.
What killed the dinosaurs? Guys,
I'll be back. Born to be bad.
Welcome to the 7th episode of the Sudden But Inevitable podcast. I'm Eamon, and joining me is Chris, and our special guest, Jonno. How you doing?
Yeah, good. How are you today?
I'm good. Chris?
I'm pretty well.
So as you may know, Terminator 2 re-releases in 3D today. And just a couple of weeks back, it was the 70th birthday of one Arnold Schwarzenegger. So today, this is the podcast dedicated to the man himself.
The ArnCast.
ArnCast, Schwarzenegger cast. So I'm sure everyone listening probably knows who Arnold Schwarzenegger is. And if you don't, there's something wrong with you and you should go see a doctor.
And read the last review.
Because, yeah, there's been reviews going up about Arnold for the last month.
Well, since the start of the site.
No, only one before this month.
Oh, really?
Yeah, only Predator, I think for the 30th anniversary of Predator.
Wow.
And of course, Arnold's been doing films since the 80s, I believe, the 70s, 80s. He's been around a lot. He's done some great movies. He's also done Hercules in New York and Junior. So what are your favourite Arnold movies?
Well, me personally, I'm a huge fan of the comedies that were there. So one of my favourites is actually Kindergarten Cop, which, although it was one of his weirder movies because he doesn't usually do comedy, it was a really good change for him. It went from to him doing the action stuff, coming in with a comedy, and it suited him for the movie, but it wasn't one of his best choices. I'll say that. But it was a good film.
I think Arnie's been doing comedy for years, though. Like, not out-and-out comedies, but, you know, even in his roles where he's got those cheesy one-liners and...
Batman and Robin.
Batman and Robin. What about you, Chris?
Well, I recently watched Twins. Liked that, but probably wasn't one of my favourites. I love the first two Terminator movies. Everything after that can get stuffed. The Sixth Day, I haven't watched that in years, but it had one of the best one-liners of all time. Near the end, Arnold says, Arnold, who is a clone and is experiencing all these emotions about being a clone, said to the enemy something along the lines of, "You should clone yourself." And the bad guy's like, "Why? So I know how it feels?" And Arnie said, "No, so you can go F yourself."
The best part is, later on in the movie, he shoots the clone of the bad guy, and he falls onto the normal bad guy, and he says, "When I told you to go screw yourself, I didn't mean you to take it literally." It's beautiful.
I also liked all the other sci-fi ones. Total Recall was fun, but mostly just for the suffocating part. What about you?
My favourite, and it's one of my favourites of all time, is Conan the Barbarian. I think it's only his second movie. Great fantasy film. One of his great films. It's actually good acting from him. That's good acting for good acting, not just being muscly and acting cool. Also Terminator, as you said, pretty great. True Lies from the 90s, also with James Cameron, is one of the better uses of Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's like an action comedy.
You recommended before this podcast that I watch The Running Man.
Yes.
I didn't get that chance, but it looks like it's really good.
It is really good.
Although
another solid one.
I was reading the description of it, and it said something like set in 2014, 17, sorry. Said it in 2017. The US is in chaos, and
it's a little foresight,
a little on the nose.
Yeah. Somebody's got good skills in prediction.
Yeah.
But not many people know it's actually a Stephen King movie.
Wow.
Yeah. He wrote the book under a pseudonym. That's an unexpected fact.
Yeah, and kind of foreshadowing for next time.
Yeah. What about performances? Because he's done loads of films. But what's your favourite Arnold?
My favourite Arnold?
Yeah, like your favourite Arnold performance.
You go first. What's yours?
I go first. Terminator 1. Because there's no performance. He just walks around shooting people. He's got like 5 lines in the whole movie.
You mean like the Arnold's best acting, or Arnold your favourite?
My favourite Arnold performance. Not his best act, because
I was thinking like performance arts.
No, I like Arnold, but I'm not going to say he's a good actor.
No.
I've seen him try to do dramatic movies. There's one that came out a couple of years ago called Maggie, which is like this weird zombie movie. He did another one this year called Aftermath. They're not great. I'm not going to lie. I like the guy. He's one of my favourite actors. But not for his acting ability. Let's just put it that way. He's no Daniel Day-Lewis.
Well, when you put it that way, I loved him in Terminator Genesis.
Yeah.
Just because he was a goof.
Yeah.
I didn't love the movie, and it didn't really fit with the Terminator, but it was great. And I like Batman and Robin.
Batman and Robin. Such a bad movie. Such a great Arnold.
Were you fishing for that one?
No.
What about you?
I think a lot of the time, if you focus not necessarily on his acting, but go to some of the other stuff he created, like his bodybuilding videos, it was a good performance because he didn't actually have to act in them, which meant he could put his talents toward bodybuilding and show a lot more of his body and a lot more of that, rather than trying to focus on trying to produce a film.
For those of you who are wondering, Jonno really likes Arnold's baby oiled body.
Baby oil? Okay.
If there was a closet in the room, Jonno would be in it.
It ain't coming out till dawn. No, it was a really good thing because in one of his videos in particular, he did an instructional video on how he does his diet and how he does his exercises. So it helped for those people who wanted to get big to use that to get started with bodybuilding.
Yeah, well, I think he won Mr. Olympia 5 times, and he was called by the Guinness Book of World Records the most perfect man, visually speaking, in the world, which I would agree with. I mean, he's basically a Greek statue that walked. I feel like that's why he was cast as Hercules, because you know he is. That movie is basically just an excuse for him to take his shirt off.
So I have a question for you, Eamon.
Yeah.
I did a little bit of research, but couldn't find many cameos and the like. Has he been in any TV shows besides 2.5 Men?
I was not even aware he was in 2.5 Men.
Nor was I until I did the research.
Yeah, no, I have no idea if he's been in any other TV shows.
Because I swear, I've seen him cameoing in all sorts of things.
I mean, a lot of cameos are uncredited, so...
Yeah, but I just couldn't find anything about it. Anyway.
No, I don't know. I don't watch a whole lot of TV, so...
Actually, you did have a cameo in the Family Guy The Quest for Stuff game. He had a cameo voicing one of the characters, so...
Okay.
That was a really good cameo for him.
Yeah.
I imagine he was probably voicing a character that was basically him.
Because it's Family Guy. It's the least imaginative thing on the planet.
Yeah.
Fun and not at all related fact. I've been playing this game on mobile called Marvel Avengers Academy, and John Cena voices the Hulk.
Okay.
It's also got like Dave Franco and Alison Brie for some reason,
Yeah.
and a whole bunch of other actors who you've seen in stuff but not heard of. But John Cena is the Hulk. It's incredible.
I mean, John Cena's kind of pulling a rock now. He's been in more and more stuff, and he's not quite as good an actor as The Rock. The Rock's not a great actor, but he's better than John Cena, I'll give him that. Now, one of the things that Arnold is most famous for is his sequels. He has arguably the greatest sequel of all time in Terminator 2. And then there was Terminator 3.
That happened.
Terminator Salvation.
That didn't happen.
Terminator Genesis. Terminator 6 starts filming next year. There's a Conan sequel from the 80s, which is worse than all the Terminator sequels. Believe it or not, there's movies that bad.
You started off well with this Arnie's good at sequels, but...
No, I can't think of any other sequels.
Expendables.
Yeah, but they're just cameos.
Yeah, okay.
Is there any other sequels there?
Triplets. Hasn't been released yet,
Mm.
but it's the sequel to a movie where he's a twin with Danny DeVito.
Mm-hmm. I think that he did 3 films with Ivan Reitman, who's the director of Ghostbusters. He did Twins, Kindergarten Cop, and the abomination that should have been an abortion, Junior, which features a baby with his face on it. It's horrific.
It's glorious, and we're going to definitely make sure it's in this video.
Oh, yeah,
at
we
this
will.
point.
But we have made it our mission to bring to you our Arnold sequels. So Chris has a twin sequel. but he says it's not a sequel, so we'll find
Well,
out what that means
It's
shortly.
a sequel, but yeah.
Jonno has a Kindergarten Cop sequel, which is kind of a third film. Most people wouldn't know that there is a second film starring Dolph Lundgren that came out a couple of years ago. I've not seen it. I have no plans to see it. And I'm doing a third Conan film. So I want to start with Jonno.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So the main focus of Kindergarten Cop 2 was to cover what would happen if it was produced nowadays, because it's been over 20 years since the last film. So utilising Arnie, keeping him as the main actor, having Ivan Reitman back again as the director, because he filmed Ghostbusters, and recently he did a film, 2014, trying to remember what the film was. Can't remember exactly, apologies for that. But he did a film recently, and it was a good comeback for him. So having him back again for the director would be great. Having Arnold back again in the main role, and as I go, I'll mention some of the other actors that could fill some of the roles, I reckon. So it's 20 years following the events of Kindergarten Cop 1. John Kimball, the main character, has retired, and he's in a nursing home, and he's really gotten into knitting. So like the typical old person getting into knitting, weird. His lover at the end of Kindergarten Cop 1, Joyce Palmieri, passed away 3 years prior. Just get her out of the way so we don't have to try and bring her back later on. The FBI have located him, and they ask him back to do another job, come back into the police force. Except this time he's going after a mob boss, Argo Selaznik, or also known as the Rig, mainly because he's built big and he's a big name. So I was thinking for that, going for like a Danny DeVito role, just having him there, because after Twins, they work well together. So he goes to this small town, Freewood, goes to Freewood Elementary and becomes an elementary teacher again. So having him back in the teaching role, doing that.
Is he teaching kindergarten?
Teaching elementary school.
Which grade?
Like grade 2 or 3. So very young, but the same sort of idea as Kindergarten Cop 1, where instead of kids being silly doing that, it's more the kids are being rebellious and not necessarily violent, but very childish. The son of the Rig goes to the school, and that's the only reason he's gone to Freewood, is to find the Rig where he is, because he's heard the son goes to the school. There's a lot of bullying going on from the bigger kids, like in grade 4s and grade 5, and so Kimball, being a cop, he knows how to defuse the situation. He may be a bit rusty, but he knows how to defuse. The big point that gets him revealed is when he's trying to break up a fight. He's trying to pull some children apart, swings his arm back and hits another child with the elbow. Which, when the child's threatening to call the cops, because it's their first instinct, it's like, oh no, I'll call the cops on you and that. He screams at them saying, I am a cop, and that gives it away. The Rig's son overhears this and takes it to the father. So now the father knows that this guy is hunting him down and in town, so the Rig's going to do something to pick him off. So he decides to bring in his right-hand man, the King of Clubs, to go and dispose of him. The King of Clubs owns most of the nightclubs in LA, and when disposing of the victim, he gives them lays a playing card with the letter cut off, so it's just that king. And I was thinking that role could be filled by Matt Damon. Seems like a tougher character. Could be good to have him in to provide maybe a little bit of comedy in there, but he's good for a serious role. So Kimball gets a visit at night from the parent of the girl, who I was thinking could be filled by Maya Rudolph. And for the children, I'm thinking various actors depending on what they need. A stronger child actor for the role of the Riggs kid, and a sort of supportive role for the girl, but something where she could get her voice out and known. So he gets a visit at night from this parent, who was Julie Riley. Just get her name out there. They have a lengthy discussion about why he's here, why is he in the town again, and why, if he's a cop, is he teaching at the school. Then the cliche thump outside. The whole film's a lot of cliches, but a massive thump outside, and he knows, okay, I'm being hunted down by someone. So he takes cover with this lady, and there's a long scene about Kimball and the lady trying to not get killed by the King of Clubs. Eventually, it'll end with the like lady incapacitating the king of clubs with a candlestick, because couldn't think of any other blunt weapons that you could have in the house. But it's a good start. He searches the pockets and finds the photo of Kimball and a mobile phone with a number on it. He calls the number and finds out it's the rig's number. Uses the home PC to find the rig and finds his where the hideout is on High Street. Then there's a stealth scene where it's like very modern Assassin's Creed, where he's just going around incapacitating people all over the place till he gets to the rig, who already has captured the lady and held her hostage. And so there's like a dramatic discussion where Kimball's trying to get closer to the rig while the rig's threatening to kill the hostage. But then he gets shot, not from Kimball, but from his son, the rig's son, who has come in a doorway and like shaky hands, sort of like he's never shot anyone before, but he's seen his dad do it. Shoots him, puts down the gun and walks away. Like, doesn't know what he's done, but he's just left it because he wasn't sure what's going to happen. After that, Kimball rethinks his retirement once the lady's in safety, because he's not sure whether he should stay in retirement or go back to the force. At this point, the son from the first film has grown up to become a lawyer at a law firm, so given him a name for herself. And Kimball flies to New York to visit him to have a chat about why he hasn't been contacted about anything, or why he's never called or written to him. And Kimball says to the son that he may unretire and become a cop. And the son just says to him that he shouldn't. He's done the hard yards. He's done that, and has a conversation saying, "You've done your work. You're getting old. You really need to have your retirement." So Kimball flies home and realizes how much he loved teaching, and he didn't just want to give up on work. So he packs his gear where he lives and moves to Freewood permanently, and does teaching there. And the film ends with him getting along with Julie, not necessarily being in love, but being friends with Julie and working at school. So you see a friendly John Kimball messing around with, not like being friendly with the kids and engaging with them. So I think the film would be good as like a follow-up of Kindy 2, but very different in the sense that it follows way ahead, where the son's grown up. Kimball's going to retirement, bringing him out and giving him a last stand.
Okay. 2 questions, 1 recommendation. Recommendation first. She should hit Matt Damon with a spade, because it's also a suit.
True.
What's the point of the son? Like, why is he in it outside of that bit at the end?
The son that's grown up, because he's mentioned at the end of number 1, a lot of the viewers may be asking, what happens to the son? Why is he not back again? So giving some resolution saying the son's grown up and moved to the law firm means that those fans of the first film can go, hey, that's what's happened to him in the second film. So it's mainly given that continuity.
But what's the point of him going to meet him? Like, you could just say, you know, the wife and the boy have moved away.
Yeah. Mainly also a plot point, because having that son there because he's moved away, and so Kimball going to talk to him saying, you haven't written to me, I'm thinking about unretiring. It's like them catching up, like father to son.
And why did the villain's son shoot him?
Because he felt the betrayal from the father, because he knew the father was up to something, and being young, he didn't realise what it was until he realised it was hurting the people around him.
So he's seen his father shoot people?
Yes, because he's the leader of a mob. So.
And he feels betrayed when he finds out his father's a bad man?
Mainly because of the bullying. Like, when he gets bullied at school, he realises that the pain he receives from the bullies is what the father's been doing to other people. And so now he understands that his father's a bad man, and that's the main reason. That could also be substituted with another person coming in and shooting, but John Kimball not doing it would be like a major thing where John's trying to slow him down, and then someone just comes in and shoots him, and then could lead on to plot points. But I just thought the son would be a good option, just because he knows what the bullying feels like, and this is how.
Alternate concept, you could have the kid become attached in some way to Kimball, Arnie's character.
Could.
And that's when he realises, oh shit, my dad killing people is bad.
If working on that line as well, you could say like, so he becomes friends with him, and then he goes home to his father and sees the father like beating a man, for example. Like like someone not paying their money and just getting beaten, and so he sees the violence, and it's like the bashing he's getting at school done to another man. That's sort of what could do it. But
Maybe.
I'm with
So you're going for a cliche, like, all the way, huh?
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, I looked up the casting of the first film. There's just a little aside. The principal of the school in the first film is the perfect person to play that little woman from Incredibles if it was a live action film.
Linda Hunt.
That would be
Edna Mode. That is Edna Mode that you see there.
That's it. The small lady who
Also
doesn't like
known as
capes.
Linda Hunt.
Chris,
Hey,
you're up.
yes. You're going to be really glad I'm not a studio exec after this one.
Okay. I feel like if you're a studio exec, you'd have a little more experience, and the amount you were getting paid to do it would encourage you to work harder.
Possibly. But I basically gave up on the idea of trying to make a genuine sequel to Twins or what else was I thinking of? Terminator, because every Terminator sequel after number 2 is terrible because it's a time traveling
The
movie.
first 40 minutes of Genesis is the best Terminator sequel ever made.
Yeah, I agree, but it's also really confusing and I can't be bothered trying to write a sequel to any of that. Awful. So because Twins, it's a comedy, but it ended on an action note.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get Patrick Hughes to direct.
Patrick Hughes.
He directed 2 things that I'd heard of: Expendables 3
Oh.
and Hitman's Bodyguard.
Oh. Well, I just got a lot less excited for the Hitman's Bodyguard.
Look, we have no idea what that
I've
film
seen
will
I've seen what the man can do. It's not good.
Okay. Anyway, I haven't seen either of these movies, so I just wanted someone who'd been involved with an Expendables type deal. So yeah, I gave up trying to make a genuine sequel to any of Arnold's work, because no, it can't be done. Or any of the work that I've seen anyway. So how can you possibly tell a story after the ridiculous 80s action of Twins? Answer: more ridiculous. So Arnie and Danny, I can't remember their names, but I don't care.
Julius Benedict is Arnold. I don't know
Yeah.
who Danny is.
The Benedict brothers, Arnie and Danny. Old rich men still running their business, but far less than they once did. Kind of like Bill Gates these days.
Yep.
You know, he doesn't really work at Microsoft at all anymore, but he's still got like kind of more power than the CEO. And so one day the new applied sciences division, because the business really expanded
Clearly.
a lot from a law firm or whatever it was. Because I want them to be rich. Not for any reason, just I
Because
want them
lawyers
to be
are the
rich.
poorest people around.
Yeah, but anyway, their business really expands. They've got applied sciences division, and they figure out how to enter alternate universes.
Jesus. This got out of hand quickly.
And so they open a portal to one of them with both Arnold and Danny present in the room. Maybe from one of those viewing platforms that is in every superhero movie where something goes wrong in a lab.
Yep.
So they open a portal. Suddenly, out comes a butt-naked Arnold Schwarzenegger. And he warns everyone to run as far as possible, as fast as possible. And so everyone either leaves the room or ducks behind something. You know, Arnold and Danny are old, so they just duck behind something. Next minute, out comes a butt-naked Danny DeVito with laser vision. So, it's Terminator in Twins. The old twins have to defend their families because their families are still around. Their franchise's dignity and their personality rights. The rights to use their face. So it's basically the Lego movie of Arnie movies with cameos from Mr. Freeze, who is a cellmate at one point or something. Conan. Donald Trump, because Arnie replaced Donald Trump on The Apprentice, and Arnie hates Donald Trump, so I think it'd be funny. And with the Expendables cast showing up at the end to save the day. Like the Lego movie, it's just ridiculous and star-studded.
It's brilliant.
Brilliant.
I would watch that movie.
Of course.
It does sound like something that you would get from a bunch of 12-year-olds in school just drawing on a piece of paper.
No.
That's what happened, though.
That's a masterpiece.
I was like, what do I do? Twins and Terminator.
Meets Lego
Everything
movie.
else, yes. It's the ultimate tribute to Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah. So, are all the Arnold Schwarzeneggers played by old Arnold Schwarzenegger? Or are you just, like, taking footage from...
I mean, I could do the Star Wars Rogue One
Yeah.
/ Terminator Genesis thing and do some recreating.
Yeah.
I haven't thought about it, but I feel like the Terminator end, I guess Arnie's playing the good Terminator again because he's warning everyone to run away from Danny DeVito. They're going to be played by current age Arnie and Danny DeVito. Conan should probably be young Conan. Donald Trump is current Donald Trump. I don't know. It really depends on which other cameos are going to be in it. And, of course, the Expendables will be current age.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of the point.
Yeah, I guess it's not the sequel, but
One of these podcasts will write another story. But today is not that day.
I feel like it's going to be difficult to take a Danny DeVito Terminator seriously.
It's not supposed to be taken seriously.
But it's the Terminator, man.
Yeah, but...
He's like supposed to be an emotionless killing machine, but he's 4 feet tall and looks like a... I don't know.
Yeah, but you're forgetting
Looks
that
like
the Lego
Danny DeVito.
Batman movie happened.
Yeah.
Batman, the most serious character of the modern age, in a comedy.
It's true. It's true.
Singing a song about himself in death metal.
That's true.
It was a great movie, actually.
It is a
I was
great
not
movie.
ready for that.
No.
So yes, it's the Lego Batman movie even.
Make it the 4th Lego movie.
That's actually incredible.
With Arnold characters.
The Lego Arnold movie.
That won't happen.
Lego Batman, Lego Ninjago, Lego Arnie.
I would personally, I'd buy that $130 Lego set for that.
Oh yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
So long as I get like at least 7 Arnold figures.
Oh yeah.
Just one
I'm not
just
going
got
to
the
build
muscles.
the set. I'm just going to have little Arnolds.
Yeah, so I feel like maybe Baby Junior, like Baby Arnie
Oh, Jesus.
from Junior
No, stop. Now it's a real horror movie.
should make its way to Lego. Last Action Hero.
I was almost expecting you to do... I mean, like, when you were talking about them being, like, scientists and whatever, in Junior they're scientists. And I was half expecting you to make Junior a sequel to Twins, which would be really weird, but it also would kind of make sense. Anyway,
I hope you enjoyed that interlude.
I did enjoy it. Let's bring things back to a little more grounded piece of reality, shall we?
We hope.
With The Legend of Conan.
I thought you said grounded.
Yeah, I did say grounded. There's no Terminators or travelling through different realities in this. It's not a Rick and Morty episode. So, The Legend of Conan is a movie that's kind of maybe supposed to kind of maybe be in production, but maybe it's not, but nobody really knows. So rather than wait for it to come out, I've created my own.
Yay.
It's in theatres next week. I'm kidding. I wish.
Excellent.
So, at the end of the first Conan film, it is revealed that eventually he becomes a king. My film takes place after he becomes a king. But he's not a king anymore. He's like, given up the throne and he's decided to wander the land once more before he dies. He's an old man now. He's 70 years old. He's not young. And during his travels, he comes across a group of travellers sitting around a campfire. And he walks up to them and he says, hey, what are you doing? And they're all looking for this man named Conan, of course, because this is a fantasy medieval world. People don't know what other people look like. So they don't know it's him. And he's like, why? So Arnie's all, Conan's all like, oh, well, why are you looking for this Conan guy? And the first guy, he's from the Far East. He's like an Asian, Mongolian type fella. And he tells a story about how there was this great Cyclops that was terrorizing his village. And this is when he was a child. And they would send warriors to go fight it, but the warriors would never come back. And eventually Conan rode into town. He was just passing through, and he said, if you feed me and let me stay here for the night, I'll go kill your Cyclops. And so the next day, he left, and he comes back with the head of the Cyclops. He's slain the beast. So this guy, he wants to find Conan again, because now there's some other creature that's terrorizing their village, because there's always has to be a village that's being terrorized by monsters repeatedly. Wouldn't be a fantasy movie otherwise.
No.
So he wants Conan's help again. And there's this woman, and she was a famed warrior once. And she
it's
was
played by Sigourney Weaver.
okay. I haven't cast her, so sure.
I was kidding.
It doesn't matter who she's played by. Now, in the first Conan film, he's fighting against a snake cult led by James Earl Jones. Her story kind of takes place at the same time as that. So she's also fighting against this snake cult, and she loses a battle. Snake cult kills all her people, and as she's wandering through the aftermath of the battle, she sees the silhouette of a man, and it's Conan. She doesn't know this, and she's all like, "What are you doing here?" And he says something to her, but she doesn't get all of it. All she hears is the words revenge and Conan, and she thinks that the guys told her if she wants revenge, she should go to Conan, because he's fighting these snake people as well. Then there's the third man, and he's this old guy, almost as old as Conan, and he tells the story of this great feast that happened years and years ago. And at the feast, these bandits showed up and tried to get everybody out of their money, and Conan challenged the bandit leader to single combat and won, but rather than kill him, he spared his life and then was like, "Why don't you come party with us?" And they partied for many days. And it's revealed that the man who's here now is the leader of those bandits. He wanted to thank Conan for not killing him, even though he could have. And Conan, he sits there and he listens, and he remembers each of these events differently because he was there. So the Cyclops that had been terrorizing this guy's village had been dead for months, and those warriors were just, extorting the people. They're like puppeting the Cyclops' corpse or something. So Conan walked there, found that the Cyclops was dead, killed the warriors, took back the Cyclops' head, but he didn't tell them because he didn't want them to think that their bravest people had betrayed them. As for the snake cult this woman was trying to fight, Conan told her not to seek revenge. Remember the tale of Conan and how revenge destroyed everybody that he loved, which is what happens in that first film. And then this feast, Conan was totally drunk. He had no idea what's going on. He thought it was just a joke. That's why he spared this guy's life, because he was just confused. And he only discovered that they were actually bandits after the party. So of course, once he tells them this, the travelers are all like, "The hell's going on? How does this guy know this stuff?" And he's like, "Well, clearly it's because I'm Conan." And so of course, at that point, they're all like, "Hey." So the bandit leader, he kind of laughs because he's seen Conan before, and he kind of had this suspicion. He didn't recognize him straight away because he's older now, but he thought it might be him. So Conan tells this lady where the snake cult is, or the rest of them are anyway, and he says, if you want your revenge, that's where the rest of them are, because he's been watching them, because they're his enemies. He says that he'll go help this guy fight the creature that's attacking his village, and then he thanks the bandit leader because the feast and all that crazy stuff that happened was one of the best nights of his life. So the sun rises as they finish telling their stories, and they each get up and go their separate ways, and the film ends. Plot-wise, not a lot happens, but that's not the point. The point is, each of these stories is directed by a different person.
Ooh. So
Peter Jackson directs one, Paul Verhoeven directs one, Guillermo del Toro directs one, and Steven Spielberg directs the whole thing. So it's kind of like each person gets their own way, their own style of telling the story. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So I was thinking like an anthology film, but one that actually tells a story rather than just lots of individual ones.
Okay. So as someone who hasn't seen the original Conan, what? I'm guessing all of these individual stories kind of connect to that first story? No,
they're completely unrelated. Okay. Outside of the snake cult featuring in the first film.
Okay, because it sounded very that bit sounded very specific, and I'm like, you didn't create that. No. I don't doubt that you could, but
no, none of that is from any of the films.
And as someone who hasn't seen Conan, I gather from the pictures I've seen and the bits I've seen that Arnie spends most of his time shirtless.
No.
No?
Mostly sleeveless.
Okay.
but not shirtless a whole lot.
Okay. Maybe I've only seen select images.
Most of the images you'll find are him sleeveless, shirtless, because everyone's like, ugh, it's Arnold.
But anyway.
Most of the pictures you find of Arnold are him. Basically clothesless.
Anyway, is he going to be shirtless, and will it be his 70-year-old
No,
body?
he won't be shirtless because it's his 70-year-old body.
Good idea. You could digitally recreate his
No.
hat.
No, I was thinking like if there's any digital recreation, it would be him when he's young, because like each story it flashed back to
Yeah.
do it cinematically. But I was thinking because each of those people don't really see Conan because they're drunk or they're children or it's dusty or whatever, it can just be played by anybody and he can just do the voice.
Yeah. And the other major plot hole I noticed with yours is that there's whole groups of people who don't recognize Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Well, he's not Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's Conan.
Yeah, but also, like, I imagine even within his universe.
Well, it's like the Middle Ages. It's not even that. It's like the ancient world.
Yeah, but even within his universe,
Yeah.
like, he's quite an different looking person.
No, he's not.
No?
No. So many people in that film are just big, muscly,
Yeah, but the
Eastern
face.
European guys. No.
With
The only really defining feature is that tooth gap, and he's gotten that fixed by this point.
with that idea of Arnold being like a shadowed character, not knowing it's Conan until later on, would it be like a reveal where he like uncloaks a hood and it's like it's really
No. The people watching the film know that he's Conan. It's just the people that he's with in the film don't know he's Conan. Because I feel like every time they do that in a movie and they try to give it a big reveal, like half an hour beforehand, everybody who's watching is like, oh, that's who it is. So yeah, there's a guy in a cloak and he's going, tell me a story. Tell me about this Conan. Nobody's going to be thinking, oh, who could that be? Is it Matt Damon? Is it Clive Owen? It's too like, the moment he speaks, everybody's going to be like, oh, it's Arnold. So I felt like that would be just pointless. But yeah, that's my Conan threequel, The Legend of Conan. And I was thinking about the music, because the music is one of my favourite parts of the first film.
And the game that was released based on it.
And the game. Not that the game's not based on the film.
No?
No.
What's it based on?
The books.
Oh.
No, the film is based on the books.
I really know nothing about Conan.
Clearly. But yeah, the guy who did the music for the film, I believe, is dead, so he cannot come back to do it. So rather than redo the music, I'm just going to use the same music because it's already really good.
Cool.
Basically like what they did with Star Wars. I'm just going to reuse the assets that people remember, and it's going to make billions of dollars, even if it's not that good.
Nice.
And that's the ArnCast.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
3 fantastic / terrible movies.
I mean, that is Arnold Schwarzenegger's career. Fantastic and terrible all at the same time.
Yes. That's just his acting.
Anyway, we're off to go see Terminator 2.
Make sure you check out Jonno's YouTube channel. We'll be reposting this on his channel.
What do you
as
do
well.
on that YouTube channel?
On my YouTube channel, it's a very community-based channel, a lot of gaming videos and a lot of trading advice. But if you put comments in the description what you want, I'll do all sorts of videos. But it's The Real Venom. Go and check it out. I'll be reposting this video on my channel so my viewers can check it out. I'll be on my channel. I'll link the description of this podcast. They do a really good job. It's really good to be on here. Thank you for having me on here.
No problem.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, I'll be posting this on my channel and hopefully we'll get some more people coming.
Yeah.
Because you deserve all the subscribers.
So next week, there will not be an up-to-date podcast.
No.
There will be an older one which hasn't been uploaded. There was technical issues with that, but I got that fixed. So we'll be uploading an episode about creatures.
AVP, yeah.
Yep, AVP special. And then the week after that, I believe, is our Stephen King special for the release of It. So stay tuned for that. Ought to be pretty interesting.
Tune in next week for Lego Arnold, the movie.